In this video, I would like to share with you how to solve a system of linear equations using the graphing calculator. And although you see a TI83 here on the screen, please know that if you have a TI84, the same keystrokes apply. So it's really valuable to know how to solve a system of linear equations by graphing because as you may know, or as you will be learning, there are two other ways to solve a system that are more algebraic ways, and those two methods are most often referred to as the substitution method and the elimination method, although the elimination method is sometimes referred to as the addition method. So anyway, even if you're asked to solve a system of linear equations using one of those algebraic methods, knowing how to solve a system on the graphing calculator is valuable because it gives you a way to check your answer if you are asked to solve a system using one of those other methods. So to get started, I would like to show you this process using the example that I have here on the screen. So we're going to solve the system where the first equation is 5y minus 10x equals negative 40, and the second equation is x plus 2y equals 9. The first step in solving a system using your graphing calculator is to solve each equation for y, which I've actually already done, and I will scroll down here to show you the steps that I took to do that and the final result. So to solve the first equation for y, I added 10x to both sides, and then I divided each piece by negative 5, which gave me the equation y equals 2x minus 8. And then for the second equation, I subtracted x from each side, then divided each piece by 2, and ended up with the result of y equals negative 1/2 x plus 9/2. So now that we have solved each equation for y, we're at a point where we can put those into our graphing calculator. So I'm going to click the y equals button and then input the first equation on the first line. So I'll type 2x minus 8. Then I'll jump down to the second line using my down arrow and type in the second equation. Now, just a general rule of thumb, anytime you want to use fractions on the graphing calculator, whether it be for graphing or for calculating, I always recommend that you put those fractions in parentheses. So in keeping with that advice, I'll put the negative 1/2 in parentheses, using the division key for the fraction bar, and then type my x, and then the plus sign, and then I'll put that 9/2 in parentheses as well. Now that we have our two equations in the calculator, we can hit the graph key so that the calculator will show us a visual representation of each of these equations on the graph. Now, to solve a system of equations using the graphing method, visually what we're looking for here is that point of intersection. And at that point of intersection, you have an x value and a y value. And algebraically speaking, that x value and y value is special because if we were to plug those values into our two equations, they would result in true statements on both fronts. So the question is, how do we get our graphing calculator to tell us where that point of intersection is located? So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the second key and then the trace key. It's going to take us to the calculate menu, and notice that option number 5 is intersect. We want to know where those two lines intersect, so it makes perfect sense for us to want to choose option number 5. So I'll scroll down using my down arrow to number 5 and then click enter. The calculators are going to take us back to the graph screen, and notice that the cursor is blinking here on the first line. And the calculator is asking us a question. It's saying first curve question mark, which is the calculator's way of saying, is this the first line that you want me to use to calculate this intersection point? And our answer is yes, and to indicate that to our calculator, we will click the enter button. Now the cursor jumps to the second line, and our calculator is asking us this question, second curve question mark. That is the calculator's way of asking us, is this the second line that you want me to use in order to calculate this intersection point? In order to tell the calculator yes, we'll click the enter button a second time. Now you'll notice that the calculator has this at the bottom. It says guess question mark, which is the calculator's way of saying, do you want me now to tell you the intersection point of these two lines? And of course we do. So we will click enter for a third time to tell the calculator to tell us the intersection point for once and for all. And upon doing that, the intersection point shows up here at the bottom of the screen. So visually, the cursor is on the intersection point so that you can make absolutely sure that the calculator is telling you what you want. And down here at the bottom, it tells us that the point of intersection is at x equals 5 and y equals 2. And so to state that answer as an ordered pair or a point, you would write it as parenthesis 5, comma 2.